The Rockstar Superhero Podcast is graciously sponsored by Justin Richards, founder and principal at Team Richards Realty Group in Bellevue, Washington. When the average agent you meet on the street sells fewer than 4 homes a year, experience matters. Justin and his team rely on more than 30 years combined experience, multiple financial market up and down swings, and hundreds of properties sold when advising their clients on their next sound investment or pricing a home for sale. Their goal is always very simple: achieve the best home price results in a time frame that suits your needs, all with the least amount of stress to you as a buyer or seller. For more information, visit teamrichardsrealty.com. That's teamrichardsrealty.com, or call Justin Richards at 425-765-8088. And now, on with the podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the Rockstar Superhero Podcast. I am so excited. It's been so long. I am blessed with the craziest interview this week. It's not as long as I would have liked, only because, well, he didn't have a lot of time, family obligations and such. This week's interview is with the incredible, legendary songwriter and producer, Jem Godfrey. Jem is the leader of Frost, very well known in Europe, and hopefully someday well known here in the States. I don't know why it works this way, but there are a ton of European songwriters and performers that never really find their way here to the States. Jem was kind enough to offer me a chance to chat. What a gentleman. What a blessing. Again, man, I had such a great time. I have to admit, I was a tad nervous. This guy is the real deal. So without further ado, dig in and enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this experience. I discovered Frost, this incredible band from the UK, not too long ago on YouTube. And, YouTube has that tendency to make a suggestion that says, you might like this group. And the funny thing is, I kept seeing this reminder off to the side of this song called Signs, which is on Frost's latest release, Falling Satellites. Kept ignoring it because the screen cap of this guy looking at the camera kind of freaked me out a tad. I'm not really sure why, but that single shot made me think maybe I wouldn't like it, but it kept popping up, and finally I decided to click on it. Turns out it was the opposite. Turns out as soon as I heard this music, I've been an absolute glutton, digging in and finding out everything I can. So if anything, I just want to thank my guest today, Jem Godfrey, for continuing to write amazing and fresh material, because I just love what he's doing. So please welcome to the podcast, Jem Godfrey.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Oh, we are great. Your humble host here, who's probably the worst podcast host in history, absolutely loves Frost. And I really want people to know about your work, Jem, because I think the problem with United States audiences is what we get from the UK is typically, the pabble, the really glossy, sheened up pop, but we don't really get anything that pushes our buttons, right? We don't get anything that really tests our limits. And it might be because I'm actually a fan of progressive rock, but, I want people to know about you.
Well, I heartedly agree. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to be a little typical today. I know we don't have a lot of time, and so what I was hoping to do is kind of do a brief background, give a little history, tell us about the band, of course, and I obviously have questions for you. But if you don't mind, outside of reading Wikipedia, where we can get the same 4 sentences of every band's description, do you mind giving us a little history? Tell a little bit about yourself, and how did Frost come about, for example?
It was. I've been doing quite a lot of sort of straight up pop songwriting and production. This is about 12 years ago now, I suppose, and I've been doing that about 5 years, and it got to a point where it was getting quite mind numbing, doing the same sort of 3 chords and the same lyrical intent, and sort of great as it was, I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of interesting people and had great experiences, but it was musically it was quite frustrating because every time there was a couple of songs I tried to put a keyboard solo in, and the A&R man went, "No, take that out." So I remember thinking, right, okay, what I need my own band. So basically, what it was it was really, really sort of gentle. Just like I think I would sit down at the piano on a sort of Sunday morning and play for a bit and think that's all right, and literally not think about it, and then gradually over the course of about 9 months, more and more bits started to come together, and I thought actually this could be I could do a prog rock album, because I've always been a bit of a fan of prog rock, but it was kind of I didn't realise that there was still a sort of burgeoning prog scene around the world at the time, because obviously this is before the internet was really widespread, and we still had MySpace, and it was all quite innocent really.
Right.
And so I sort of did put this thing together, and I thought I'll do prog because that's really subversive, and it turns out that actually everybody was doing it. There was a big scene. So it was kind of it was quite nice to sort of be a part of that scene, and I put the album together. Again, I didn't really have any sort of grand plans for it. I was just doing it for a bit of fun, really. And I think I sort of played to a couple of friends, and they said, "Well, you really should probably put this out."
Yeah.
So then I got in touch with John Mitchell again, very very flukily. I just emailed him. He used to have his email address, his actual home address on his old studio website. Which he very quickly took off after I got in touch. But I just sort of said, you seem quite handy. Do you want to play on my album? And he went, "Yeah, all right." So I handed him a bag of cash, and he came down, and we had a bit of a sort of an afternoon just sort of mucking around having some fun. And he sort of said, I'll recommend you to Thomas Barber, who was running Inside Out. And I remember walking down to the post office. It was I don't know, it was sort of March morning. No, it was in the autumn. It was in the autumn. Sorry, I tell a lie. And with my CD in a bag. This is how old school things were. This is even 12 years ago. And I posted my CD off to Germany. And he rang up and went, "Oh, I really like this. We should do something with it." And then it kind of went from there. And I think John also knew Andy Edwards, who was in IQ at the time.
Right.
And I really loved what he was doing. And then he said, "Well, we've got John Jarrett who's on playing bass as well." So the band kind of came together really, really quickly, and it suddenly existed. And I was thinking, "Oh, all right, fair enough." And then we were very lucky that the first album was well received, which is great. And we kind of just sort of tottered on from there. We've had a few false starts, a few stops here and there, and it kind of, things like family. I had children and raised families, that slowed things down. It's been a kind of on-off love affair, I suppose.
Yeah. It does seem like that. I mean, from a fan's perspective, you have this period. You release a record, or at least you get together as a band, and then it kind of dawdles off for, I don't know, 4 to 8 years, and then it's time to sort of reignite the band, right, and get it together. And so I always wondered, I shouldn't say always, it hasn't been that long since I've known about you, but I wondered if the band was more of a project, right, just one in a string of 5 or 6 other things, because most people don't know here. I mean, again, the ignorance of American pop and rock music is, what goes on in the UK, well, Europe in general, is we don't really pay attention, right? Unless they are big breakthroughs like, say, Elton John, right? And the funny thing is when I discovered you, I did the standard thing. I did jump onto Wikipedia to find out as much information as I could, and then I see that, here you are, this sort of mastercraft pop songwriter who has one of the fastest, charting hits of all time in the UK, and yet in the States, who, right? And, and so, I mean, that had to be an amazing thrill for you. But again, I mean, it's kind of sad to me, and I'm hoping that people that hear this will jump right out, obviously, pick up your material, but learn a lot about you, because, I mean, when you sit on that pedestal alongside Gareth Gates and Elton John, I mean, you're kind of a big deal. I hope that doesn't blow your head up too much, but you're a heck of a guy.
Well, that's very kind of you say that. I mean, no, really, from where I'm sitting, obviously, I mean, it's. I think if you are the sort of, if you're the pop singer, and you're the one doing on the stage and getting all the adoration, we're just the blokes in the garage when we're doing it. We don't get any, and I like that. I like being able to go down to Walmart and Tesco's and not have that. And that was the sort of, that keeps you quite grounded. And also, I think you can't. Geddy Lee, I think, once said a brilliant thing. He said, we're just musicians. It's not that noble a profession. And I think it's we're just a songwriter, really. And it's I've never really had any delusions of grandeur. I mean, look at me.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that's what makes you so accessible and so honestly lovable. When I watched that video for Signs, that was my, sort of initial foray into you visually,
Wow.
right?
That's the most recent thing we've done. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And so what I loved about that was it was 4 great players, but 4 normal guys just having joy. You exude joy. I mean, the documentary you did, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but the documentary you did, kind of detailing your past works and obviously the new stuff on Falling Satellites is just full of happiness and smiles and joy. And granted, that doesn't necessarily make you cool, but it makes you real, right? And you know what I mean by cool, right? The perception of cool. Yeah. So I love it.
With us, it's kind of you have to listen to the music. It's so preposterous. You can't sit there. We can't. We're not scowlers. We do this because we really enjoy each other's company. We don't see each other very often as a band because we're quite spread out. Not in sort of American terms, but in British terms, we're sort of Well, it's at least 2 hours drive.
Wow.
So it's kind of it's we get together as friends really, and then we sort of the music acts is a side. The lineup's changed quite a lot since the first album, as you probably know, but it's just sort of we're just mates. We have a bit of a laugh, and I think as I say, with the music being what it is, we can't be doing sort of all this scowling at the camera and looking in a forest of dry ice. It just would be stupid. We're 4 kind of bit overweight middle-aged blokes.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
We have to kind of behave like that.
Yeah, well, the progressive rock fan is typically overweight middle-aged bloke, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah, well, look at me. I'm 50, so I'm older than you. I'm about 30 pounds overweight, sadly. But I am absolutely in line with the fan base, right? I am perfectly in line with that. It's funny that you mentioned Subversion, too, because you're right. Even though you're a few years younger than me, we grew up in an era where progressive rock faded out pretty quickly, right? It got overtaken by, I don't know, let's say 1983 Genesis, right? We had a lot of pop filtering in, and then we had the cruddy years, the late 80s, and then rock sort of reinvented the 90s. But, progressive rock and what I would call heavy metal, meaning real heavy metal, the darker bands, they always sat in that subversive category. But nowadays, progressive rock and heavy metal, quote unquote, are probably 2 giant exports, especially out of Europe.
Yeah, it's everything. I remember in the 80s and 90s, there was a time when everyone said, you'll never see people wearing flares, and then it did come round, albeit not very much, and thank goodness it didn't last for very long. But it's just that thing of, and it was the same with prog. Everyone just sort of said prog will never come back round, and it has come back round, but it's quite different, which I think is good because it's progressed.
Yes,
which is all you can ask of this genre. If it all come back around again, everyone was still doing the capes and all that stuff. There are a few people doing that. That's fine because that's kind of nostalgic in a way. But I think in the sort of the Stephen Wilsons of the world, it's very modern, forward-looking progressive rock, and that's great. It's people don't seem to have these fear of genres anymore. I don't know whether it's because of Spotify and things like that, but just people are much more, I find, much more open-minded about, people will like rock, will like pop, will like prog. It's great. It's a really good time to be a consumer of music, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny. A lot of people talk about Nirvana coming in and kind of wrecking the way the world was. And I agree to a point, but what I also discovered is that MTV, and then, of course, now leading into YouTube, force these non-visual performers, say a Christopher Cross, perfect example of a man who was clearly not TV friendly, very radio friendly, but really didn't look like what you would consider to be the traditional rock star. And granted, in a sense, that did crush his career because people started judging his abilities to write songs on his looks. But what it's also done is it's kind of forced us out of that cape wearing, Emerson, Lake and Palmer sort of bombastic thing. It's forced musicians to focus on the music and to stop worrying about the eyeliner. With the exception of maybe The Darkness or something like that is mocking music, everybody's kind of just normalized. And I think that's really cool.
you still get. I mean, I think in terms of our sort of version of ELP and Queen now, I'd say would be Muse. I mean, they just have these giant stages, and the drums are on these moving platforms, and and that's great because that's total theatre, and everyone loves them for that. But it's I think you couldn't. I would like to think that there's a little bit of tongue in cheek when they do that. I mean, I haven't been to a Muse gig, and I should do, but it's just that thing of there is definitely space for that. But I think there's also people. It's been a hell of a kind of 10 or 15 years in terms of world history, and I think people are 20 years even. People are very much the world is different now. I don't think people have that kind of such a sunny outlook, I'm afraid to say, at the moment. So I think the music kind of reflects the times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but wouldn't you give anything to have Freddie Mercury back? I would love to see Queen complete. It was just one of the most incredible, perfect things. And again, I mean, now that is a band that describes Bombast, right? Just over the top and relentless at it. But there was, but
we also with a twinkle as well. There was a lot of humor, and I love that that's what's so brilliant about Queen.
Right. Like I Want to Break Free. Nobody would do that except Freddie Mercury, right? I mean, it was just so ballsy and so lovely. But yeah, the twinkle, the wink was what mattered.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on coming up to the Cruise to the Edge. I think that's a really great experience, and I think you're going to have a blast. And have you ever performed there?
No, it's the first time. It all sort of happened. All the bands that were announced, and we thought, oh well, we've pardoned the pun, we've missed the boat, and it was just a thing of I don't know what happened. I don't know whether somebody couldned do it or whether there was the stars all aligned. But then suddenly we got an email going, "We want you!"
Wow.
So we all went, "Yep, that'll be fine." So yeah, we're when did we go? We go quite soon. I think we're going in about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, for those that don't know, it's a 4-day cruise. I think it changes where it goes every year, but this year I think it starts in Tampa Bay and goes to Cozumel, Mexico. And it's basically a cruise with a whole bunch of progressive bands that are at the center of the action. And this year it's Kansas and Yes, or what's left of those bands, I should say. Frost, the lovely Frost of whom I'm talking to Jem. Haken, which is a great band that I absolutely adore. Patrick Moraz, Steve Hackett. I mean, it's
Hocus.
Yeah, I mean, these incredible acts and what a great experience, and of course for the fan, not only do they get to see the bands, but hey, they might end up in a swimming pool with Jem Godfrey.
Oh my lord! I'm sure people would pay not to have that happen.
Shuffleboard, anyone?
yeah, maybe. It's an amazing. The idea is brilliant, because it's a totally, literally an immersive experience. Hopefully not literally, but it's kind of, it's that thing of it's whoever conceived the idea is brilliant, because it's like it's just like a huge experience, and also not only for the people that come in to watch it, but for the band. I mean, we're all, the four of us, we're squeaking with happiness at the thought of going, because it's just such a brilliant. In the middle, here we are at the moment in February in the UK. It's cold. It's about -4 here at the moment. It's been cold for about 2 weeks. And it's going to stay cold, and it's grey, and suddenly I'm going to be in Florida in 2 weeks' time. So everybody's happy. So it's just this brilliant it's just a brilliant atmosphere for that. I can't wait to go. None of us can wait to go.
That's awesome. Do they have a special sunblock for Brits?
Yeah, we went on. There's a strange glowing ball in the sky. What is it? I don't understand.
Yeah, I just know so many of the artists are going to come back with these incredible burns, because you come from the wrong part of the world for a cruise this time of year. But I'm sure it's going to be killer. I'm really stoked for you. I would love to go. Obviously, I'm not going, or I would have tried to arrange something like this down there. But I'm just really happy for you. Who are you most interested in seeing perform? Do you mind sharing? Without getting too political.
I have probably at the moment my main excited thing. I want to see Focus. For me, there's a real there's something brilliant about These Vanilla, and I just love that. And Hocus Pocus, obviously, and Sylvia. There's these sort of songs that I came to quite late, and they are again quite. The musicianship is amazing, but it's all done in a kind of in a very flamboyant manner. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing them. I'd quite like to see Stickman as well, Tony Levin and his band.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they're going to perform. Yeah, that's an incredible opportunity there.
Because I really want to meet Tony. So I've always wanted to. He's a big influence. Because I played stick as well, Chapman stick.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I've got. I can't show you. This is lousy.
Lousy radio, but incredible video for me.
But yeah,
oh my goodness, that's a real Chapman.
Holding up his stick, no one can see it, but it's here. So
yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, I want to talk shop. I want to talk stick shop with Mr. Levin. That's the other thing I want to do. So if I can do those two things, I shall come back to Blighty, sunburnt and happy.
So did you pick up a stick because of Discipline or because of Security by Peter Gabriel?
Both, actually, both.
Look at us. Look at how cool we are, Jem. We're cool. We both know those records.
I know. No, it was both of those. It was I love that the whole sort of Numbers was with the track on Falling Satellites was there was quite a bit of sort of Discipline influence in there, sort of that whole polyrhythms and things going over each other, and stick all going
right.
That's kind of a very much of a nod to that Crimson album. So it's sort of and Gabriel's just cool. So I think it's Chapman stick and Tony Levin and Gabriel and Pete Gabriel 3 in particular. I think
yes.
So,
yes, I agree. I think that's his finest work. The funny thing about Peter Gabriel is think about this, Jem. He did Security when he was 30 years old. How mad is that when you realize the brilliance?
No idea.
30.
They always like all that. They always just seem sort of timeless. I'd never think of them as like when they were doing all these big tours. They were like late 20s. You think, God, I was nowhere by that point. It's amazing the trajectory. I've got such respect for them for doing that, Yeah. But he's 30 years old. He's Security. I love that album as well.
Yeah.
Those two albums, favorite two albums.
It's the same thing as kind of looking at the Beatles and realizing that by the end of their career, they were in the late 20s, early 30s. It's just an absolutely mind-blowing experience. I mean, Lennon was 30 when the Beatles were done. After all that material, it's so unfair, and it really reminds you the brilliance of others.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking if I could just be just a tiny bit as good as them, I'd have had a marvelous career. It was that getting early because I didn't start doing music properly till I was 29, really. Because I couldn't make it work, so I was working in radio stations all through my 20s in the UK, just doing sort of production, sort of. Job and producer, and then the music thing happened very, very late. So everyone had a 10-year head start on me. So it's amazing. You think of the creativity that those guys had at such not a young age, but such a kind of, to me, it seems like quite a young age now, I suppose. Yeah. But it's amazing.
No, that's amazing. Well, it's amazing to me that you started at 29, and granted, you'd been playing music before that, right? You played piano probably growing up.
Yeah, I've been playing since I was about 8.
Okay.
But it's kind of I did the whole thing. I left college. I'm going to be a rock star. You wait. And I was on Social Security about 6 months later for 3 years.
Working in a restaurant, growing out your hair.
Yeah, all that. I did that.
Did you grow up in a musical family? Was that a big influence for you? Was it what you heard on the radio?
No, my brother was. It all came from my older brother. He was really into music, and he was a drummer. He started to play drums. But he's 6 years older than me, so it's kind of I basically got left to my own devices. I was into things like OMD and I liked a lot of synth pop. I was really big into that. And then he came down from the mountain with 90125 and Topographic Oceans, and he was a big Yes fan, so I kind of got influenced that. And then there was a bit of Genesis, and because what sort of drew me into it was because it was just, especially with Genesis, it was just loads of keyboard solos because I was a sort of aspiring keyboard player at the time, and I liked synths. So it was like a sort of natural marriage of synthesizers and people playing really fast.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, it was a bit of a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, you're a Korg player, right?
Yes.
So are you currently, what's the word, endorsed by Korg? Is that how that works? Or are you just, can you share that? Maybe you can't, but. No,
I wouldn't, it's difficult, really. I mean, there are friends of mine who are endorsees, and they're very much endorsees, and I don't know. I mean, I talk to Korg every now and then. We don't have like a particularly close relationship, but we have I suppose I have an artist relationship with them. It's very different. I don't know. I have done some things for them online, and it used to be on the website. I think they're probably taking me off now because I'm not.
No. no. I think, I mean, if you're...
It's an ongoing friendship rather than a endorsement thing, I think.
Sure. Well, that's fine. I mean, look, you're a keyboard player slash piano. I mean, I hate the term keyboard. Maybe you don't, but I just like it because it's usually equated with, a guy who plays a guitar, But I like the idea of you having an arsenal, right? You might have a Moog over here or an ARP Quadra, something crazy from the 70s because you love its really old school analog sounds, right?
Funny enough, I did have a Quadra.
Did you?
Yeah, I did have a Quadra. It's all over 40 satellites, actually. I had it. I bought it about a year ago, and I don't have it anymore. I sold it. Oh, but it was for me. It was the childhood synth because of Three Sides Live, and that I'd learned to play that way, and they are the rarest synths to find, and I finally found one in. About 60 miles away. My 10-year search, and it was in amazing condition.
Really?
And I brought it home. It was brilliant. It's great, but it just was a little bit too unreliable.
Yeah, and probably a tad cumbersome, right? They're a fairly large instrument, lots of.
Yeah, but a beautiful looking thing. I mean, it looks stunning. I mean, what I have done is that before I sold it, I meticulously sampled every sound it can make. And I need to, at some point when I've got a spare 6 months, I'm going to build a big Quadra for my Korg Kronos synth. So I've got all the sounds. I've sampled all the filtered things in the envelope. So I will eventually release this digital Quadra, but when I need a bit more time first.
Well, on your documentary, I can't remember what it's called. Ellison, can you tell me real quick?
There's a couple. Which one? Is it the session one or the
Rockfield? Rockfield. That's what I'm thinking of. You have that moment where you're playing keyboard on an ironing board.
Yes.
Would you? Yes. Are you willing to give us the secret behind that? Is it strictly visual, or do you actually have triggers underneath that? Because I love that idea.
It's very simple. I mean, it's smoke and mirrors. Everyone they keep saying, "What is it? What is that thing?" And what it is, it's one of those. It's a nanopad.
Ah, wonderful.
It's a full nanopad. So what I do is I cut a little hole in the foam underneath the surface of the ironing board, and then just pop this little nanopad. You have to look it up online for people who are listening.
Yeah,
it's a little plastic keyboard that's sort of about 12 inches by 3 inches, I suppose. And then I drew little dots on the fabric of the ironing board where the notes were, and I just had to kind of hope it was in the right place. It's really Heath Robinson. I know it looks really glamorous, but it cost about it's pence to make. It's just scalpels and a little bit of felt tip.
No, I love it. I had a feeling it was real, but I just couldn't put it together. And of course, not knowing how you tricked us, that's wonderful.
Yes.
So I imagine with all the changes inside the music industry, a lot has happened before, really, in a sense, you kind of came up. But what's it like in the middle of it now? I mean, you're a songwriter. You do your own marketing. I don't know if I'm assuming you own your own publishing, etc. But you've had a number of successful signals, and how does that allow you to live the life of a professional musician? Does it, or are you a teacher by trade as well, or how does that work?
No, we've got. It's true to say. I think trying to make money out of writing songs these days is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I was very lucky because I just caught the tail end of when records would sell a lot.
Right.
I was very lucky that a couple of them sold 1 million, just slightly over 1 million. And I think these days you need to sell about 12,000 to get to number one in the UK. It's a very, very different world, because people don't go into shops and buy CDs anymore. It just doesn't happen. But what I do is it's kind of you have to diversify. So the live thing is quite good because obviously that's quite a good way to do stuff. Although what I tend to do, I actually co-own 3 different music companies that do different things. One makes a lot of radio station jingles for radio stations all over the world. Another one is a music library with a publishing division. And another one is a kind of it's sort of a bit of software really that generates content for radio. It's kind of quite niche, but it's aimed primarily at the American market. So we've got these 3. I've got sort of lots of different things going on at once, but they're all music related. So it's kind of it's some days I put my Frost hat on that I can be all mad. Then other days I have to put my managing director hat on and I have to be all it's all marvelous. How are you? And chats and stuff. So it's kind of I put different hats on really. So it's you just have to do whatever you can. You know, it's I think the days of just saying right, I'm a songwriter,
Sure.
and expecting to buy a yacht are over. So.
No, but it's great that you're entrepreneurial enough to do that. I mean, a lot of guys would sort of just complain that they're never going to get out of the box and they have to go work, like I said before, with their long hair as a dishwasher in a restaurant because they want to stay true to their vision. They're not necessarily willing to be a business person, you know?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I didn't set out to particularly be a business person, but I mean, it's business is a strange word. I mean, it's still it's a creative industry, so it's kind of and it's rewarding in its own way because you do stuff for that, and we're very lucky that it's done quite well, and we've got an amazing team of writers. Work on it.
Are you?
And it's just a very nice,
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please, I have a slight lag here. Go ahead.
It's just to say, it's just kind of it's like a sort of collegiate. It's a nice kind of campus kind of vibe. We all get on. It's just really creative kind of space. It's like-minded because a lot of other musicians are in exactly the same situation. So we've all kind of come together in a little team, and it's a great way of us all, being able to work and pay the mortgage.
Right. So is Frost right now dominating most of your time? I mean, with whether it's the preparation of the cruise to the edge or I don't know, an upcoming tour.
It goes in these great big sort of. The album was very, very preparing. That was quite intense because I have to. It's weird with Frost, right? I find Frost quite intimidating, weirdly. So it's kind of I have to write some songs, going, oh, these aren't Frost songs. These are in my head. This isn't a Frost song. This is just a song I've written. And then after about 6 months, I look at these list of songs and go, actually, there's a Frost album here. And I go, right, it's a Frost album. And then I've snuck up on it and go, ha, I've got some songs for you. So it's sort of so there'll be quite a long period where nothing happens, and suddenly it goes, bah! And there's a massive sort of 5 months of activities. We've got to record the drums, we've got to record the vocals, get everything done, sorted, and mix it, and finish it, put it out, and then do the videos and stuff. But it has sort of bursts, and then we prepped for the tour we did some shows last year in just in the UK, I think. We're doing some in Europe and America this year, and a couple in the UK. So and then there'll be little bursts of activity when I'm programming up the keyboards for the set. We were going to rehearse for a couple of days, and then it'll go quiet again for sort of 4 or 5 months, which is quite nice because it is quite a lot of effort to sort out because it's kind of pretty much just me and our manager Nelly who between the parents. The other 3 guys they're quite content to sort of rock up and do the bit, and they always bring their A game. Right. But they're not that interested in sitting here watching me program drums. No. But fair enough.
Yeah, that is fair. They not that they're session musicians in any way, but I understand what you mean. They do kind of show up and they're ready to go, right? Yeah, and also because we're quite geographically disparate. It's not quite. I can't just drive around to John Mitchell's house and spend a day there. It's like a 3-hour drive for me, and then 3 hours back. And I've got little kids, and it's all very sort of. It's just the logistics of being alive at this time of life. Are you actually? So it's easier. It's easier and quicker if I just do it at home. To be honest. Yeah, no, sure. Are you actually in London, or are you just near London? No, I'm 60 miles south, and it's a place called East Sussex. It's a sort of county on the south coast of the UK, near a place called Brighton. Nice. It's reasonably famous. Nice. No, that's fabulous. You're very, very blessed again. Are you planning on going back into songwriting mode after all the touring and all the next bits are done, or are you going to just relax and maybe take on or try a new project? No, I think it'd be nice to get back into doing some stuff again because I'm not a huge fan of gigging actually. I know it's sort of it's kind of where you can make some money doing it, but I'm not really a fan of recitals. I'm not good at. I'm always thinking about the next thing. I'm always looking forwards. I want to kind of, I've done the album and I really enjoyed the experience of doing Falling Satellites, and now I kind of want to do the next one. I don't particularly want to play the songs from the album we've just done because it's kind of in my brain, it's done, it's in a box and onwards, so. Sure. But we will do some gigs, but what I'd ideally like to do is put a limit on what we do this year and get on writing some new stuff. And also the other thing, of course, is that Craig Blundell, our drummer, is Steve Milson's drummer. Right. And they've just finished the album, or they're just about to finish the album. And of course, what happens is that they tour for the years. I mean, he'll be on the road for 2 years when the other album comes out. So it's probably actually quite a good time for us to not be touring because it's going to be very difficult to get Craig
his availability is very limited when he's on tour with Stephen. So
Right.
that's a perfect time for us to do a new album.
Yeah, well, I know you don't know me, and I'm sure everybody says this to you, but if you want to have me come over to the UK and do a session for you, I'm happy to do it. I'm a former studio drummer myself, so I watch his playing and I think, well, heck, I can do that. That's my thing too, man.
I don't think he'd be very pleased.
No, I doubt it highly. Well, do you have a few more minutes for me?
Yeah. I got about 5. That's all right.
No, that's great. So I like to do this sort of silly question game at the end of these. I'm not, as you clearly can see, I'm not the sort of professional, the Larry King of the podcast world. But
I don't know. I feel very relaxed. It's been a very good chat.
No, great.
I think it's all right.
Thank you. Well, it's been an absolute blast. And so I have these silly questions I like to write out, and I change them up for everybody. So these aren't questions I've asked anybody else before.
Okay.
But if you don't mind, I'm just going to ask, and you answer however you want. It can be a one-word answer. It can be, a paragraph. So
I'm ready.
First question for Jem. Are you a hunter or a gatherer?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. I am both.
Oh. Okay, that's fair.
Because I did tend to go, hunting. Yeah, definitely. If I want to go and do something, I'll go and do it. But at the same time, I also like the peace and quiet and tranquility of gathering.
Sure. Okay. I that's fair. That's fair. I give that one to you. Ding, ding, ding.
Collector. I don't hoard though. That's it. I'm not gathering as in a hoarding sense. I hate hoarding. No.
That's fair. Your favorite crisp?
Oh, easy. Quavers.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Do you have Quavers in the US?
No, but I'm familiar with them. They have them in Japan.
They're like a sort of cheesy yellow wave.
Yeah. My wife is Japanese, so when I go to Japan, I see them there. Yeah.
That's it. Them.
What do you think about when you're alone in your car?
How lovely and quiet it is, because I've got 4 young children.
You have 4?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's wonderful. Your least favorite music genre?
Opera.
Oh, that's powerful. Okay, especially being European. Pizza.
That's the vibrato. It drives me mad. It's like, you can hit the note. Hit the note. Don't go above it. It's like this huge sine wave. Just sing the note.
Pizza or sushi?
Oh, that's really tough because I love both. I'm going to go for sushi.
Okay. Your favorite dance step?
Charleston, obviously.
Of course. Guffaw or chortle?
Chortle.
Oh, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Biggest personal influence?
Musically or in life?
It could be whatever pops into your head first.
Biggest personal influence. Well, musically, it would probably be Tony Banks.
Oh, that's great.
In life, Karma.
Wow. Okay. Falling Satellites or Million Town?
Falling Satellites.
Okay.
What
interesting thing can you do that nobody knows about except your wife?
Interesting thing I don't know. Nobody knows about. The problem is, I'm a shameless self-publicist, so there's not an awful lot that I don't tell everybody. Oh, I know. I'm learning Italian.
Oh, fabulous. That is fabulous. Well, I'm going to stop there because I know you got to go. I've probably taken 6 of those 5 minutes.
I've loved it. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So may I ask one favor before I let you go?
Of course.
If it's possible, I would love to add a Frost song or any other work you've done on the tail end of this podcast so people who hear it can hear some of your work. Would you authorize that? Would that be all right?
Yeah, of course. That's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay. Which song would you like me to post?
How long have we got?
You got as long as you want. I can post an entire album if you want, but CD Baby will complain.
anything from the new album, because I love that album. I'm really proud of it. I'm really pleased with it. So anything you like from that, Signs would be good. Whatever the one you like the most would be great.
I really, really enjoy Signs. I do love a lot of it, but Signs is probably my favorite. That's for sure.
Let's go for Signs then.
Yeah. Well, excellent. So thank you so much, Jem. I really appreciate the time. I love the smile. I love the graciousness. You're incredible, and I hope I can re-engage with you sometime in the future.
Well, you know where I am. You hit me up whenever you want. It's fine.
Thank you, sir. Rock and roll. Have a great trip, okay?
And you. Take care, sir.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.